Hi guys, so today I'll be talking about face negotiation theory, which is by Stella Ting Toomey. Face negotiation theory is not about facial expressions, which is originally what I thought it was about. Um, so don't make that mistake. That could be kind of costly. Just some quick background here on Stella Ting Toomey. She received her doctorate from University of Washington. She's a professor of human communications at CSU Fullerton, California State, Fullerton. Much of her studies has to do with the differentiation of communication between cultures. She first published her theory in an article in 1985. She first came to the U.S. from Hong Kong in 1972. And I think you got to remember that she came to the U.S. from Hong Kong in 72. That's pretty important here when you think about her theory. Introduction to face negotiation theory. We'll give you a quick definition here from the book. The facework of people from individualistic cultures will be different from the facework of people from collectivistic cultures. And we'll talk about what individualistic cultures and collectivistic cultures are and their differences and all that kind of stuff. Moving on, facework. Facework is specific verbal and nonverbal messages that help to maintain and restore face loss and to uphold and honor face gain. So, moving on, we have a quick explanation. The difference in people's reactions to conflict has to do with what type of culture they come from. Talking about individualistic and collectivistic. If a person comes from an individualistic culture or environment, they will deal with conflict differently than someone who comes from a collectivistic culture. What is a collectivistic culture? A collectivistic culture is where people identify with a larger group that is responsible for providing care in exchange for group loyalty. For example, out of the book, it says China and Japan are considered collectivistic cultures. Basically, what they're talking about here is cultures that are more centered and into the culture themselves and into the group, and how the group works as one is more collectivistic. What is an individualistic culture? An individualistic culture is where people look out for themselves and their immediate families. An example of individualistic culture would be our culture in the United States as well as Germany. This kind of offended me a little bit. I was kind of upset. Not upset, but I was annoyed, I guess. Frustrated. Basically calling us selfish without saying the exact words, which affects me. Anyway, so, basis of the theory. Ting Toomey built the theory on the idea that people from collectivistic cultures are different in the way they manage conflict situations than people from individualistic cultures. So, basically how it says, people from collectivistic cultures, such as China and Japan, manage conflict differently from individualistic cultures, like us in Germany. Probably because we have different things that we want to happen. A lot of times, people from collectivistic cultures will move away from conflict, not want to deal with it, and people from individualistic cultures will stand up to conflict and talk about it and want to be more open with the person that they're having the conflict with. Third-party help. This is something I think is very important. A method of conflict management in which disputing parties seek the aid of a respected neutral party to help them resolve their differences. Ting Toomey only talks about third-party help for collectivistic cultures, but third-party help could also influence individualistic cultures. Yeah, I mean, if you have a conflict with somebody, and you ask somebody else who's not involved to help and resolve the problem, that's not only the case in just like collectivistic cultures, but individualistic cultures, and it really helps with conflict management. So we have different styles of conflict management here. This is also according to Ting Toomey and her theory. Avoiding, obliging, compromising, dominating, integrating, emotional expression, passive-aggressive, and third-party help. Discussion. So right now I'm going to ask you guys to get into groups of two and ask each other these questions. You're in a group for a project, and all of your group members are participating except for one. How would you approach this person about the problem? Which style of conflict will you use to deal with this problem? And is your way of dealing with conflict individualistic or collectivistic? So go ahead and talk amongst yourself for just a few minutes. We'll come back together and discuss. So there they discuss. We talk about it as a class. Alright, moving on. Couple video clips for you guys, and we're going to analyze them here in just a second when we're done with it. We have two. One's collectivistic, one is individualistic. I want you guys to figure out which one is which, and then we'll come back together and we'll talk about it. And hopefully we'll have a few laughs about these videos. So we watch the videos, good, we talk about it. Conflict. In the first video, we see an intense argument that ends in compromise because he obliges, which shows Marshall's other face concern, or concern for the group's well-being. In the second video, we see Robin dominating Patrice by yelling at her and not giving her a chance to explain, which shows Robin's self-face concern, or concern for her own well-being. So, very different there. You can see the differences. My opinion, I think that King Toomey's theory can be accurate in some instances, but I think that saying that everyone in an individualistic culture is independent and everyone in a collectivistic culture is interdependent is incorrect. Very black and white, and I think there needs to be a lot of gray for this theory to hold some weight. It also seems that the theory is saying that everyone in an individualistic culture is selfish, which is kind of insulting, not just us, but other people in individualistic cultures. My response to theory. While I think the theory is true in some cases, there are many people in what are considered individualistic cultures that are collectivistic. The theory stereotypes collectivistic cultures into being only thinking about what's best for the community, and also for individuals just being about themselves. I don't think you can put everyone into the world into having individualistic views or collectivistic views. There has to be some middle ground, and also people from each what are considered individualistic and collectivistic cultures can be in both sides at once. You don't have to be in just one or the other. So anyway, so that is my presentation. Again, this is Face Negotiation Theory by Stella Ting Toomey.